Welcome to Productivity PRN, a prescription for profitability. This tool allows emergency room administrators to most efficiently allocate human resources to minimize patient door-to-disposition time. Using historical data, we developed a regression analysis including various parameters that affect door-to-disposition time, such as volume per hour, emergency severity scale, and provider mix. Activating our tool shows you 4 different options. Option 1 is a historical data tool. This tool is used to look up door-to-disposition time based on historical data. Tool 2 is called the Schedule Optimizer. Here, the user can enter the day of the week, the various shift lengths, and budget constraints in order to discover the ideal provider mix in order to minimize the door-to-disposition time. Tool 3 we call the door-to-disposition simulation. This simulates various door-to-disposition times based on emergency severity indexes and volumes per hour. Here, you can either use historical data or you can input your own information. And finally, the last tool is the comprehensive tool. This is for advanced users only. Here, you can go into the back-end data in order to manipulate and add more data if needed. We will now go through each of these tools separately. The first tool we will demonstrate is the historical data tool. Activating this tool allows the user to input the day, the hour start, and the hour end for each shift. For example, we will look at a typical Monday from 8 to 5. Here, the user enters these values and hits Run Tool. This shows that on an average Monday from 8 to 5, when there are 4 attendings, 2 advanced practitioners, and 4 residents, the average door disposition time is 304 minutes. Also, this tool shows us that the average emergency severity index is 2.7, the volume per hour averaged is 12.98 patients per hour, and the standard deviation for each of these is 0.17 and 6.53. Clearing the values and returning to the home page will then allow the user to use our second tool, the Schedule Optimizer. Here, one can put in the desired day, such as Monday, the shift, such as 8 to 5, and the shift budget, for instance, $5,000, and then click Calculate All in order to run our custom-written VBA optimization engine. As you can see, this tool then shows us that the ideal provider mix is 3 attendings, 2 APPs, and 3 residents, which gives you an average door-to-disposition time of 243 minutes. Comparing this to our historical data, as shown in the last tool, you are saving 61 minutes with this mix. From here, the user can then click Show Optimization Record, which will show the iterations that the custom VBA optimization engine used in order to show the ideal mix. Clicking on Return to Optimizer, one can then click on Reset All Changes and back to Homepage to use our third tool. Our third tool is the Door-to-Disposition Simulator. Here, the user can input an average emergency severity index as well as volume per hour and activate the form. In this example, the user has input 2.5 for the average ESI and 10 for the volume per hour, and running the tool has shown an average door-to-disposition time of 456 minutes. From here, the user can then click on Display Simulation Table. This table shows across a horizontal various volumes per hour centered around the user input 10 using historical standard deviations, and across the vertical columns, various ESIs centered around 2.5 using historical standard deviations for ESI. From this page, the user can then click on Return to Simulation Settings to go to our next tool. Returning to our simulation tool, the user can then now reset all changes and instead use historical data. For instance, a Monday from the hours of 8 to 5. After inputting these values, the user hits Run Simulation, which shows an average door-to-disposition time of 218 minutes. From here, you can once again hit Display Simulation Table, which will show you this form. This form, across the horizon, shows volume per hour centered around the historical values of that Monday from 8 to 5, and the columns are average ESI centered around that historical value given for Monday, 8 to 5. From here, the user can then click to Return to Home. Our last tool is the Comprehensive tool. Note, this should be used only by advanced users. Here, we can see that this tool allows to customize various parameters. For instance, let us use our historical form of Monday from 8 to 5. This shows an average disposition time of 217 minutes. From this tool, the user can then also just change the days. For instance, Tuesday and also Wednesday. From here, one can also change the various parameters, such as ESI, if we were to increase it by 10%. Hitting 10% and then hitting calculate will show us a change in the disposition time of 210 minutes. Next, we can also vary each of the other parameters, such as volume per hour, as well as provider mix. Here, instead of individually hitting calculate, you can just click calculate all. With the user input parameters, one can see that the calculated door to disposition time is 138 minutes. Next, one can purge all these values by hitting reset values to historical state. Note, this tool is the engine that is running in the background of the 3 other tools. As you can see, the comprehensive tool allows maximum customization by the user, leveraging our bespoke VBA engine. Thank you for choosing Productivity PRN. We hope you can use it to optimize your emergency department.